Hello there, Robin Shute here. Behind me you can see my Pikes Peak Unlimited build. I have been trying to get this ready in time for the 2025 race, and I do have some news for you on this. Unfortunately, and not so surprisingly, I won't be making it to the Mountain this year with this car. I actually made the decision maybe 2 weeks ago now, right before the mock-up engine came to the car. And at that point I realized there was just too many corners I was having to cut to get this car ready in time for this year's race. So I like to aim for big goals, have very hard to hit targets, and as part of that, you don't always hit them. You do get a lot of work done, you do get things completed much quicker than you normally would, but ultimately these goals are often missed. So I had this in the back of my mind probably before Christmas, but I really wanted to go and make the most progress possible with this car to see if I could make it for 2025. But ultimately there was a few factors that got in the way of doing this car properly. The good news is though, I will be going through and sharing with you a lot more of the details of the build, because I have been cutting a lot of corners when it comes to the content production, and I do enjoy making these videos for you all. So part of that will be a trip to New Zealand where we finish off the engine dyno tuning with the new Cosworth ECU. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to hold off on this year's race, was we were going to have to go and get the engine straight here from New Zealand and then go and do the last pieces of dyno development work in the car, and I didn't like that. So that'll be coming up, and also I can go into a lot more detail of parts of the build which I've really just stormed through to get the thing to this point. So the last 2 weeks I've actually not been too focused on the car. I've taken some time off as I've been so flat out over the last 6 months, actually to a year. Enjoyed going and doing some more driving. Went to go and do Super Lap Battle with the 1967 Dusol Camaro, which was a lot of fun. We did 195 mile an hour on the back straight, pretty impressive. And also been out to Thermal Club as well, doing a bit of driving with a friend in a Wolf. So I've been enjoying cars, enjoying driving a little more, and that's something that I haven't been doing because I've been locked in front of a computer screen. I haven't even been in a simulator in 10 months, so good to go and get that in my system again. I will have more news about what my my Pikes Peak entry will be for this year. I am still going. And it'll be a very different car to what you see behind me. So with that, I wanted to share with you some of the progress with the car. I posted a few things on Instagram around the level of build, and I'm going to go and run you through some of that now in front of me. So let's spin this camera around. Alrighty, here we have it. You can see I got the nose cone shock panel on. This gives you a better idea of scale for the car. We got the cage fully painted and welded up, and then here is the big change, which is all the rear end on the car. This engine is from Prototipo. This is the 2.3 litre V8 based on the BMW S1000RR motorcycle, turned into a V8, so two of these heads either side. Now this engine is a mock-up engine, so there's nothing inside it at the moment, but it does have the Prototipo's full CNC'd block, and it also has some other 3D printed parts to mock up the position of the intake, the headers. I've actually got the headers 3D printed in boxes behind me as well in Inconel. And then you can also see things like the 3D printed bell housing. This is fully printed in one piece in aluminium. And then the Sadev gearbox on the back, which is an SL82LW. Yeah, pretty neat, I think. You can see it's a very, very tight package. The turbocharger is a Borg Warner EFR. It'll be a 9174 for Pikes Peak. And this car was never intended to be a single turbo. It was supposed to be a twin turbo with the turbos hanging out to the side over here. But we found with the Borg Warner turbochargers, actually a big single was going to give us better mid-range, and also being lighter with just one big turbo rather than two smaller ones. Another cool development, which I'll talk about more in another video, is this valve there. I don't know if you can see it says Sendo valve. That's a real neat thing we've done that we're going to be testing on the dyno in New Zealand as well. And you can see here I have mocked up the downpipe. This is 3D printed Inconel, and it needs a little bit of tacking and welding together. This was sort of an early piece. We didn't do all the features for locations like we have done with the other stuff. But you can see it's a pretty complex shape in 3D space. I'm printing a jig that goes in here that will locate that accurately to car position before we go and tack that together. So yeah, lots and lots of progress on the bulk of the car here. You can get a feel for what it is all going to be. You can see the engine bracket now tucked away, attaching the engine. We've got some other members to go from here to support the structural loads as well. On top of that, still need to fabricate those. And we've also got suspension pickup points. These are CNC machined out of, I think, 4340 and then nickel plated. Really neat. This is my rear shock mount. We call it the crab or the spaghetti monster. Other names are applicable as well. Feel free to suggest what you would call it. But this is a neat part that attaches, first of all here, this will be the heave spring that sits behind the gearbox to the roll bar. And we've got the roll bars going there. These are the shock tops here. And then we've got the exhaust mount, which will be, they're not the correct fasteners, but that will allow it to slide and grow. And lastly here, these go and attach the bodywork also. So we have a lot of great pieces already on the car. Also down here you can see these are CNC uprights, already with the bearings in and the retention plates, and they've also got bearing retainer on them. So these are the rear uprights, and I also have the front uprights in a similar level of build as well. So I've actually got pretty much all the parts here required to go and get it on its wheels. We've got the wishbones, they've now been welded and completed. They're down in here. I just need to go and stake some bearings in those, put them through the vapor blast so they're not so shiny. But yeah, we're pretty complete there. Fresh in are the rockers. These are 3D printed in titanium. I can go in more detail about these later, but they need a little bit of post machining before the bearings go in. And then here you can see some 3D printed headers in Inconel. Again, I'll go in a lot more detail with all this stuff. I just wanted to share with you today where the car was about 2 weeks ago, before I took a little bit of a break, did other stuff. Yeah, lots of great progress. I think it's looking really cool. I'll hopefully get it down on its wheels within the next couple of weeks, and something I can push and roll around. I might even take it out to Colorado to show off. We'll see how all that goes. Show it, take it to Pikes Peak so people can see that. All right. So yeah, thank you for having a little look around this car. I am super sad that I'm not going to be racing it 2025 at Pikes Peak. It's going to be an absolutely incredible car to drive once it's done. And one of the first things I told myself when doing this project was I wasn't going to cut corners, I wasn't going to half-ass this, I was going to do this right. And this is part of that process. So yeah, and with that I can tell the story much better. Now it's started to show the story of it being a physical thing. Actually, people have been watching along and been really interested in it a lot more than when it was just the design stuff. So I'm looking forward to sharing both a hybrid of what I've done in the design as well as it coming to reality as part of that. So yeah, I'll try and do another video here shortly, get into a little more detail. I might actually go back to some more design-based parts of it, go into a little more about the aerodynamics of the car, which is completely separate to all of this. There's just so much to cover. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Thank you for tuning in for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.